people don't understand how much cold beer it takes to make good wine. I remember harvesting grapes and bottling and racking, and you know, it takes lots of beer to make it. Started making wine in 1997 with my buddy Frank Martin Bagey. He's been doing it since '78, and he's been kind enough to take me under his wing. He's pretty much my guru. He's a great winemaker, a great individual, and it's just something that we really enjoy doing together.
I was doing all this in San Francisco when we lived there, and I had all these barrels in my basement in San Francisco, and one day I'm out pressing, racking, cleaning barrels. I don't know what I'm doing, and this guy lives across the street, and he comes over and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "What does it look like I'm doing? I'm making wine." He says, "Look at this," and he opens his jacket. He's got a tie on with bottles of wine on it. He says, "I'm into this." And I said, "Well," so I gave him a bottle of wine, came back over the next day. He says, "I want to do this."
That's what my partner Marty has been focusing on for 25, 28 years, is making wines from second crop fruit.
The reason it's called a second crop is the major grapes form around the core of the vine, the large first crop. They're these large bunches. And then these little bunches form farther out on the vine. And they form later in the cycle, so they're little tiny round bunches like this, and they don't quite ripen at the same rate. They usually don't get ripe till 2 weeks later. So the wineries will come in, and they pick all the first crop, and they leave those. Well, they don't necessarily get all the first crop when they come through. Every now and then they'll miss a bunch here and there. So we're picking some overripe grapes and some underripe grapes, and we're blending all that together. Because when we go through, we pick pretty much everything. And we're testing the sugars as we go so that we know that we're getting the right kind of sugars, or we need to maybe just concentrate on the second crop or pick more first crop. And I think it's an advantage for us because we're not just putting everything into the bin. You know, if something is atrophied or it's raisiny or it doesn't look too good, we're leaving it. We're just picking what's left out there that's in pretty good shape.
What we have here is a fine example of one of Sonoma County's own. This is not generally found throughout the world. In fact, it's California's claim to fame is that Zinfandel is our own grape. And this vine, this vineyard actually, is approaching, some of these vines are averaging about 100 years old. You can tell by the girth of these that they've been here for a long time. Planted by early Italian immigrants. These vines don't produce as many grapes or as much wine as they used to, but what they do produce is exceptional. We have really nice red wines coming out of here, very dense, concentrated. But like I said, it's a Sonoma County only. You don't still find this in too many places. Maybe a little bit over in Lodi, but here in Sonoma County, this is one of the few plots of Old Vine Zinfandel that are still existing and producing, that everybody kind of wants to get their hands on the right time of the year. Fortunately, we have good connections in Sonoma County with really good vineyard managers, and they direct us into the proper spots. Basically, at this time, we have enough capacity to make about 320 gallon a year. It's quite a few cases of wine.
Professional wineries filter, and they have serious filters that they put the wine through, to get all these little critters out, and basically we don't do any of that. It just comes right out of the barrel, right in the bottle. Yeah, the wineries could not do this because there's too much sediment left, and if I pull an old bottle out, it's got goodies in it. Very tasty goodies.
The term is called racking, and essentially what we're doing is we're siphoning off the fine of the wine off the dredges in the bottom of the barrel, which is technically called lees. It's particles of skin from the grapes, particles of stems, and a lot of dormant or dead yeast cells. That kind of thing, it does not cause too many problems, but it just doesn't make the wine very attractive. So we go through that process of racking 2, maybe 3 times during the year while it's in the barrel, just to give the wine clarity. And there's nothing better than holding up a glass of wine and being able to see that it's nice and clean and starry bright.
The very first time we did a blend, I was very religious about topping from the same vineyard, and we also take the grapes out. I mean, we'll take the wine out for a harvest crew for a picnic. And the funny part about this is everybody works very hard in the morning, then we have lunch, and then production falls off dramatically because we've had a few glasses of wine and everybody's all, oh, we got to go back out again, you know, and I know how much we have to do to fill up a barrel. It's like we have to fill 50 5-gallon buckets, like paint buckets, what they look like. And until we've done that, we're not done, you know, so just keep going. About 3 or 4 years ago, Jeff and I decided to take what was left and just put it in a barrel and make a blend. The Sonoma County Harvest Fair loved it. They gave it a silver medal, and it doesn't taste like any particular varietal. It's just a very nice wine.
You know, winemaking for me has just been a lot of fun, and it continues to be that way. It's just every year there's more challenges, and again, it harkens all of us to get together and walk through the vineyards and have our lunches together, and you know, it's just about spending time with friends. And you know, I mean, the end result is great and everything, but it's every step along the way and it's all cumulative. It's just it's a wonderful hobby.
This friend of mine called up and said, hey, let's go make some wine. I got us some grapes. We went out there and picked all day long and, you know, made about a quarter of a barrel and went back the next day, and then we went back the weekend after. We finally made enough to fill the barrel up. And it was very good wine. I still have some, 1978. It's a little over the hill, but it's still drinkable. And that was sort of the start of the whole thing.
personally, I think that great wine is made in the vineyard, and that's the most important thing. Is obviously not to be applying too many chemicals. If no chemicals, would be preferable. But it happens that we have to, you know, have insect or pesticide problems. So that's one of the most important things, is decisions that are made in the vineyard. That will affect the overall quality of the grapes. So once we feel that we've done our best and the grapes are at the optimum ripeness, we come in and we pick them by hand, and they're treated very gently. At that point, we feel that everything is done. We just need to assist the grapes into making the wine. And that would be taking them back to our facility, which is a small cellar. We crush immediately, and we have decisions to make there as far as what type of yeast we're going to put on the must, and that will determine a fermentation that's very hot and short, or a long, cool fermentation. They have their own factors of how that affects the wine as well. The next step after the fermentation is putting the juice into the barrel, which we press the grapes, put it into a barrel, and there again there's another decision that needs to be made as far as what type of oak and what size of barrel we're going to use. Typically we like to use French oak on our Burgundian varietals. If we're making the Bordeaux blend, we'll use a French oak barrels, and if we're handling like Zinfandel or Old Vine Zinfandel, we like to use American oak, which has its own nuances. So over the course of a year, the wine sits in the barrel, it picks up these different flavors, and it evolves. We try to filter it. Actually, we don't filter it, we rack it twice. We use no filters, so it's a non-filtered wine. The racking basically is the siphoning of the wine out of the barrel, leaving the must, the bottom, the gunk, the sediment in the bottom of the barrel, wash out the barrel, put the wine back in the barrel, and then top it off and recork it. And we try to do that twice. Depends on how much sediment's actually in the wine. So after it's set in the barrel we try to age 11 to 12 months. There again, it depends on the up and coming harvest as far as like how much space we have. We're very limited on space. So typically 12 months barrel aging, and then we bottle it by hand. And we like to age our wines 1 year in the bottle before we turn any of our friends onto it. So it's quite a process, but it's a lot of fun.